up here in Dundee. Remarkable, we haven't actually had an over lost yet to the weather, as Van der Merwe will continue from the pavilion end of the ground. We've got a game that hangs perfectly in the balance with 19 overs remaining in the first innings. You'd suspect Nepal won't be displeased with their position, but they would love to try to get up to 250, 260. If they can, there might be some acceleration, but we still haven't seen Bashir Ahmed come to the crease. He's one of the 3 changes, 2 of which were enforced for Nepal, with a couple of injuries to Sampal Kami. The hero from 2 days ago nearly guided Nepal home, losing a thriller, an absolute thriller, by just 2 runs to the host Scotland. He'll be in next at number 7, you would suspect. And then no Gulshan Jha either, who's a big blow because Bashir Ahmed's a different kind of player to Gulshan Jha. They won't have that X-Factor power until Karen KC comes to the crease, probably at number 8. And then Nandan Yadav certainly capable of clearing the ropes himself too on his ODI debut. Dutch are squeezing really well. They've learnt from that IRE partnership 48 hours ago. Andrew Leonard here alongside you, as always, for this ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2. I've got Mel Farrell with me. Mel, you can't really say that either side's overly pleased with their position, and it's kind of a bit of an arm wrestle, a bit of a tussle out there now.
I actually often find these middle overs to be really interesting because you feel like this arm wrestle, which it often is at this stage, it's often really where the game is set up. And yeah, it feels very much on as even at the moment. Again, keeping it to a single, and I think you're right. I think they really have learned from what Nepal did to Scotland in the previous game. Tight over there from Van der Merwe. And just the 2 singles coming from it after 32. It's 134 for 4.
Yeah, some of the fans speculating, the messages continuing to come in on that. Hashtag CWCL2, that 250 or 260 won't be enough. It's hard to say because the Dutch are just so shy of consistency and confidence with their batting. Whatever total Nepal get, they should feel as though they're still in the game. And I do think that the batting conditions today, as Irie pulls this away and pulls it all the way nearly for 6, but over the head of Wesley Baracey, who's maybe 10 yards off the rope. I'm not sure whether that's the intention. And Irie, well, gets a little bit of fortune to get it over his head. If that was a deep backward square leg on the rope, it would have been straight to him. Instead, it's 1 bounce 4.
Both of the fielders out in the deep on the leg side were quite a long way inside the rope. So I think it is the plan, and that's the issue. They're coming in. They're coming closer to try and cut off that second run because of how quick these Nepal batters are running between the crease. But the payoff for that on that occasion was that the ball just sailed over his head. Still a long way in off the rope.
Dragged down again, pulled away again. This one should be taken. He'll get 1 boundary, won't get a second, and Levitt is pumped up. Joy unbounded for him. He is elated, ecstatic. Career best figures, a first ever 3-wicket haul in international cricket. It's almost an action replay, isn't it, of the Bim Sharkey dismissal. Probably should have been put away. Top edge and a simple catch for Wesley Baracey.
And fair play to the Netherlands for sticking with their plans. They've had those fielders in off the rope trying to prevent the extra run. And we saw the previous ball go over the head a second time around. 1 ball later, I get the chocolates. But for Levitt, you've been talking about it. He's bowled all his overs straight through. And we did talk about how they were most likely to attack Levitt as a part-time bowler. We can't call him a part-time bowler, Lenny, when he's coming in and bowling 10 overs in a match, taking 3 wickets. So, Basir Ahmed, for the first time in this particular series, gets his opportunity. Does bring into play the left-hand, right-hand combination.
Plenty of time for him to bat. Plenty of time for him to show his worth. He'll get off the mark immediately with a quickly run single. I thought he was very impressive in the Nepal Premier League. I know in a different format, but just the way in which he went about his run scoring. He scored 181 runs, including that 68 not out at a strike rate over 120. He's not a big hitter, but he's a clever batter. Can be very devastating against spin. That's the one area he will go after, particularly the left-arm spinner. Roelof van der Merwe uses his feet, comes down the ground, hits nicely straight, goes over extra cover pretty well too. Very tough cricketer. Maybe two good men for this situation, as a little sort of 8 to 10 over period of consolidation is probably what Nepal need now.
Just what we've seen too, just every time they get to the cusp of making a partnership really count. It's got through. It was an attempt. Oh, is it a save? My goodness, what is that on the boundary rope? Terrific work in the deep. Thought that one was for all money, Lenny.
Yeah, Tejan Nidamanoru beat the dive of Van Meekeren at cover. Excuse me, mid-off. And then look at the ground Nidamanoru's made up here. Remarkable effort. This looked like it was 4 all the way, but just that slightly slower outfield today and fantastic wholehearted commitment in the deep saves a run. That's a brilliant effort. Really, really good. Tricky position here for Nepal. They probably don't know whether to stick or twist for a bit. They'll just have to take some time and get an opportunity, despite the 8 runs from that over, to go big in the last 10. 33 have been bowled. It's another wicket to Michael Levitt. He's going to bowl his 10 on the bounce, it looks like. 33 have been bowled, 142 for 5.
Well, and why wouldn't he be bowled out as well? Because he's been the man to take the wickets. He's kept the run rate reasonable as well. As we see Van der Merwe continue, but yeah, just was going to make that point, Lenny. They lost those 2 wickets early. Just look at the fall of wickets. They were 20 for 1, 29 for 2. The next wickets have fallen with 88, 106 and 138 on the board. So it's just every time a partnership has just got going, it's been that man, Michael Levitt, has found a way to break it apart.
The biggest disappointment for Nepal will be the way in which those 3 wickets fell. All caught square the wicket, all very simple chances, all kind of in between strokes. Half an appeal, sort of stifled afterwards. David McLean says, not out. But you look at the 3 dismissals. Okay, Irie might have got more of a top edge, but Powdell and Sharkey both looking as though they're in 2 minds. Are they going for it fully or not? And great placement by the Dutch fielders, great game awareness, knowing they don't have to be all the way right on the rope. And as a consequence, it's brought about those 3 breakthroughs.
We've got Max O'Dowd just fielding in front of us at the moment. He is a long way in off the rope. Both of them here in front of us, who are on the offside now. So a definite team tactic, and you really have to give a lot of credit, because there might have been the temptation after that first ball was hit over the head of Baresi to actually push the fielders out a little bit, because that's the side that's with the wind.
Swept well in front of square. Arif Sheikh was a bit slow to get off the mark, and Ahmed's not as quick as Irie, so they'll be happy with the single. Yeah, it's a good period for the Dutch, isn't it? They've dragged it back. Look at all the plans that the various players have, all the little cheat sheets that have been handed out by the Ryan van Niekerk, who's the assistant coach who does all the analysis of the opposition, and they do incredible amounts of work on their opponents. So you can see they've got their plans for each and every one of the opposition and getting the field set just right.
I've actually just put an extra fielder out on the leg side. I want to say on the boundary, but again, just several metres inside the boundary rope. So they've got 3 out there. Yeah, some good tactics being employed, and a very tidy over from Van der Merwe as well. Single from it after 34. It's 143 for 5. Nepal is being squeezed by the Netherlands.
Just get a look at the Manhattan here, Mel, and you'll see that there's been the occasional good over of kind of 7, 8, 9 off it, but nothing consistent in terms of building blocks, particularly whilst Michael Levitt has been bowling, and he's the one, they've tried to target him, but they just haven't been able to do it, have they? He's going at about 5 and over, or just a fraction under. But he's picked up 3 incredibly valuable wickets.
And you notice with that Manhattan, the wickets generally followed by very tidy overs.
Cut powerfully. Don't want to bowl there to Arif Sheikh. It's his trademark stroke. And again, the Iceman is keeping things together for Nepal in very difficult circumstances. His innings could be crucial here today.
Oh, on this occasion, a wicket falls, and that man is straight away on the attack.
Ooh, now, is there a little bit of bat that's just saved Arif Sheikh? I think so. Given his runs, that would have been probably the 6th wicket had he not got the bat down in time.
Yeah, it sounded like there were 2 noises from here. Have another look. Yeah, I think there would have been, because otherwise that would have been a very, very good shout. Saved him.
Stylish drive from Bashir Ahmed. Again, you're just seeing how far in Wesley Baracey is there. It's a completely different approach to the Scotland fielders who were just run ragged by Nepal.
He is so far in off that boundary. He's almost halfway in between the ring and the boundary rope. Really, really smart tactics from the Netherlands side. But Nepal forcing those good tactics.
Pulled towards Baracey, maybe just in front of him, wasn't it? But again, Nepal haven't kind of found a way to cope with those fielders 15 yards off the rope. Their placement with some of their square strokes has been poor.
I still reckon a couple of days ago that shot would have been 2 runs. That's what they were doing so well.
Yeah, I think that the squeeze the Dutch have got on in the circle has been critical, isn't it? That's made a 20, maybe 30 run difference compared to 2 days ago. The 150s come up here.
It was wild the other day. Just couldn't get my head around how quickly they were running. Oh.
Beats the outside edge to end a fine spell. He's bowled 10 overs on the bounce here, Mel. We said he was the weak link potentially in this attack. Well, he's proved anything but Big pat on the back and high fives all around for Michael Levitt. 10 overs, 3 for 49, the best bowling figures in his international career.
He's done brilliantly well. I tried to attack him. We knew they would. But picking up for 3 wickets and bowling 10 on the bounce, bowling 10 overs for the second time in his career, both here at Fort Hill. Maybe he's heard people assuming that he must be the weakest link, and he's certainly proved all of them wrong. Great stuff by Michael Levitt. And encouraging for Scott Edwards too. That's twice he's bowled his full allocation. He has taken wickets. He's been today pretty economical as well. Because if he feels that he can use him as a 5th bowler when needed and actually rely on him for more than a handful of overs, that just expands his options a little bit without some of the top all-rounders in the side at the moment.
Just the single as Aryan Dutt returns. He's got 4 left. They'll probably stick strictly now to the 5 bowlers, won't they? There's no need for them to look at a Zachary and Cachet. It's been a kind of strange day thus far, Mel, hasn't it? Because Nepal haven't lost the wickets to those that we thought would pose the most threat, really. And they've kept the spinners quiet, even though they're not scoring very prolifically against them. Should be thinking of at least 100 more. They should be thinking of 250. They do have batting to come. KC can come in and apply some fireworks on top of what these two can do. And then Nandan Yadav hits a big ball as well. But in many ways, having got through the early skirmishes without huge amounts of damage, they maybe would like more, wouldn't they? They've been the architects of their own difficult position here.
I go back to the regular breaking of partnerships. They want one good partnership. Maybe this will be it here. Shake the senior partner. And just being able to push things along so that they've got that, they can get to the last sort of 7 or 8 overs still with plenty of wickets in hand, and then it's okay. But they have got a longer tail today, remember? There's forced changes. And I just think the way the Dutch have fielded, and there you go again. It's exactly what we're talking about. A couple of days ago, that would have been a single for all the world. But because of the very clever positioning of the fielders, I'm not sure they're quite sure how to then come up with other ways of scoring quickly.
Well, you've got to take a little bit of risk. You've got to... Bashir Ahmed plays well over extra cover. He's got to take on one there. Hitting with the spin. Just gone into his shell a bit here, isn't he? 2 off 10 now. Pressure being applied, and the Dutch are really kind of almost all over the opposition. Van der Merwe's coming in like the schoolyard bully, just emphasising who's in charge here.
I reckon he's a teddy bear.
A bit of intimidation there from the Bulldog. Very much getting up in the face of the opposition.
He's a passionate cricketer. Yeah, it's almost like, okay, they've worked out their plan A. What's plan B?
Pressure building up. Just 1 run from the over. 151 for 5.
You will have to be a bit careful here, Ahmad, because he's been coming a long way forward and just pushing and prodding at the ball very defensively. He's just getting caught up into a very, very defensive mindset, it looks.
I think 24.
So Kumar saw a similar position early in the innings, and they end up just chewing up a lot of balls, a lot of dot balls. That was a real feature of their innings against Scotland. They had no consecutive dot balls for a huge amount of that innings. It was quite something.
Kyle Klein's going to return. He's got 4 overs left. Just wondering, this little burst, maybe 2 overs from Scott Edwards trying to get another wicket. Don't want to bowl there to Arif Sheikh. He's so powerful on the cut. Be an easy couple as Van Meekeren does the fielding. Maybe with the pace back on the ball, just a chance for Nepal to escape this kind of chokehold that the Dutch have put on them. Dutt and Van der Merwe have 6 overs left between them. Guided down to deep third. Bashir Ahmed now, pressure on him. 2 off 11, just like Anil Shah, only in for his first game of the tour. Very, very difficult first full international of the tour. Can he kind of respond and find a way to start to get the scoreboard moving?
Yeah, difficult for Nepal with these forced changes, having a couple of players coming in, having carried the drinks for the first few games. Only one game to make their impact felt, but it's been quite tentative stuff so far from Ahmed. So impressed by the way that Scott Edwards has set these fields, cutting off the singles.
Well, it's just significant homework, isn't it? Huge homework being done by the Dutch on what happened a couple of days ago. Van der Merwe is right in the middle of it all again. It's a tough school, international cricket. And right now, very much bullying. And the Bulldog is at it out there. I don't know what he's not happy with. Bit of a talking to from the umpire. Maybe just the umpire saying you don't need to be coming in and talking. Oh, now, I think we're going to see 5 penalty runs here. We don't know for what.
They keep running on the spreading on the wicket. Yeah, against the top.
I think it might be for the batters running up the crease. You can have penalty runs either way. It was Van der Merwe coming in and making the... That's the signal for unfair play. That can be either side. It can go for you or against you. I might be open to correction here. I think that means the Dutch innings is going to start at 5 for none. I believe. I don't think the runs come off the score of the first innings. And the 2 batters feel a little bit aghast by it. I didn't see any official warnings given. But the umpires had enough, maybe with a word in the air from Roelof van der Merwe. Funnily, we did have a member of the public message in saying, are the batters not running right down the crease too often? And the umpires have kept an eye on it, and it's going to be a 5-run penalty.
My goodness, Lenny, we keep seeing things in this particular round that don't really recall seeing too much of before, if at all. And that's obviously why Van der Merwe was going in. I think he had seen something. I'm with you. I didn't see any warnings given.
Definitely 5 penalty runs. As Ahmed pulls to get a little bit of an injection to his innings, but it'll only be a single. I'm going to defer to those that know better as to where those 5 penalty runs go. I don't think they come off the first innings score if it occurs in the first innings. I think the Dutch will start the second innings at 5 for none, I believe. I'll get that checked for you and come back, but it definitely is what is dealt with the law of unfair play. And it's to cover off a whole number of things. Law 41. Do you think the batters are entitled to a warning, though? If it's the first offence by that side, the bowler's end umpire shall then summon the offending player's team captain and issue a first and final warning, which will apply to all members of the team for the remainder of their match. So maybe there was a warning earlier in the innings, not for these 2, if that makes sense. They will also warn the offending player's captain that any further such offence of the team shall result in the award of 5 penalty runs to the opposing team. And then if it is a second or subsequent offence, the bowler's end umpire shall then summon the offending player's captain. Obviously in this case there isn't a captain out there, so one of the two batters, and indicate that that's enough, and 5 runs shall be given to the opposition. Again, we haven't seen it come off the scorecard here, and I think that's the correct way in which it works.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's added to the fielding team's score. So because they haven't batted yet, they will just start with 5 runs on the board.
24
Yeah, because I think if this was the second innings, then the score would change for the Netherlands as the fielding side. It would have been added to the total that they scored earlier.
We get all that checked for you with our match officials during the interval, but we believe the Dutch will start at 5 for none. So a nice little bonus for them. And probably can't overstate Roelof van der Merwe's involvement in all of that, in terms of getting into the ear of the batters and the umpires. And it was funny, he did have a message earlier on from a fan watching here, a Scottish fan actually, asking Andrew Dugan it was, who said, have the umpires given any warnings to any of the batsmen in the previous 4 matches for this mini-series? There's a big shot attempted inside edge. Andrew Dugan says, I think I've seen plenty of it, or are my eyes deceiving me? That was 2 hours ago, so right on the money there, Andrew Dugan. But yeah, Nepal rattled.
29, 96. This is also 29, yeah. Plus 5, 10. 10 plus 10, 2.
Hit by those penalty runs, and now not really going anywhere. They're in trouble here. Something's got to give. Mid-off and mid-on up in the circle. Can Bashir Ahmed get them back? Keeps finding the fielders at the moment. Dot ball's building up.
Well, just all round, this Netherlands side have come out today and they're doing an awful lot of things right. And I think it shows the value of having Scott Edwards. Max O'Dowd did a fine job deputising while he was injured. But some real nous being shown by the skipper throughout. Again, that defensive push. We've seen that pretty much all the way through from Ahmed for the 18 balls that he's faced. And, just if he keeps going that way, you can see one coming along with his name on it. They're really in a spot of bother at the moment, Nepal.
Yeah, 4 off 18 at any stage of an ODI is putting yourself in a difficult position. Only 12 overs left after this. Should be getting to a nicer part of the day to bat. But Aryan Dutt is just so difficult to get away, isn't he? Wicketless, yes, but he's only gone for 23 from his 8 overs. 158 for 5 the score. Let's see if our graphics can show us anything more about these 5 penalty runs. Not sure how the system works on this front, so you don't see it anywhere there on that scorecard. Let's have a look at the Dutch scorecard. Let's see if it pops in here. Not yet.
Not
so
yet.
just have a look at the bowling figures as well. See if there's any indication of it there. Not yet. We'll come back to you on that. Our understanding is that there must have been a warning earlier in the innings that we didn't see, and then the 2 batters out there have suffered a 5-run penalty for running straight down the playing surface. You've got a danger zone that you've got to get off. It's basically a couple of strides after you start running. You need to get off the centre of the playing surface so you're not deteriorating that for the second innings. As Kyle Klein will continue his 8th over. Finally some aggression from Bashir Ahmed, but doesn't get it where he wants. Something's got to give here, Mel.
Is that the flip side of the really rapid running between the wickets? If they aren't having that extra kind of little diversion, perhaps, off the centre of the wicket, or the centre of the pitch, I should say.
Well, yeah, we haven't seen particularly rapid running between the wickets today because the Dutch haven't allowed it. The Dutch have learned so well from the game 2 days ago. Deep in the crease this time. Little tickle of an outside edge. I think he's played for this. Got to give him credit. I know it's an edge, but he's opened the face late and a canny piece of batting. He is a clever cricketer, Bashir Ahmed. Gets his first boundary, a desperately needed one.
It just feels like that is the first shot that he hasn't played that defensive prod, and I think he's actually played that really well. With no slip in there, it's a pretty safe shot to play, really. And maybe that will just give him a little bit of confidence. He's been stuck there with only the occasional single. First boundary for Ahmed. They need a few more, though.
Got to thank Daniel Beswick for this one, digging deep into law 41 regarding unfair play and penalty runs. This is 41.17.4. Remember, all of the laws of the game can be found on the official MCC website, or the Guardian, the governor of the laws. The playing conditions supersede them, which implements some changes like we see in this competition. So I'll read you this in its entirety. It's 41.17. 0.14. Umpires have to know all these laws inside out. It's not easy. We'll get the single this time, better from Ahmed. When 5 penalty runs are awarded to the fielding side under clause 18.5.2 or 41.1, 41.14, 15.16, they shall be added as penalty extras to that side's total of runs in the most recently completed innings. If the fielding side has not yet completed an innings, the 5 penalty runs should be added to the score in its next innings. So the Dutch will start at 5 for none in the second innings. It makes whatever Nepal post, makes it 5 runs less, if that makes sense. And the reason that applies, Mel, is that if you took 5 runs off this innings, obviously, well, if there hasn't been 5 extras yet, you can't take runs off a batter. So for the averages and statistics. So the Dutch will start in the second innings at 5 for none. And
those 5 runs are just seen as extras?
Penalty runs, which is one of the 6 kinds of extras that you can have,
Wow.
Could have done without that today, but I'm not going to lie, it's been a really long 10 days. And could have definitely done without that.
Oh, thanks, Daniel Beswick, legend.
Worked into the leg. So a good addition, I've got to say, to the laws, penalty runs, because we don't have yellow cards or red cards. We're not like football or rugby or hockey or any other sport that deals with its kind of indiscretions in that manner. And then the code of conduct is there to deal with things kind of after the game. But I think the penalty runs are an important addition in terms of to stop any deceptive or advantageous play from, or any sort of angle shooting from one side to the other. I'm not saying necessarily there was any intent from Bashir Ahmed and Arif Sheikh in trying to deteriorate the pitch. I think there's probably a bit of naivety, nothing else. And maybe the message didn't go through the Nepal camp, because as per the law there will and should have been a warning earlier in the innings, but that warning then applies across the whole team. So whoever it was that got the warning might have, most likely, was probably during Bim Sharkey and Rohit Paudal's partnership, given that was the longest one. That message then didn't go across the team. So learnings for Nepal from that, and whatever they get, the Dutch are going to make it 5 runs easier in the second dig because of it. So 1 over left in the second power play. Wonder will Arif Sheikh try to exploit the fact that mid-off is up in the circle and try to use his feet, get down the track. Quick single, good running.
The other thing as well, it just feels like with those penalty runs being called, there was almost a bit of a shock factor, unless that was just us being shocked. But I think for the batters looked that way as well. And I just feel like everything at the moment, it must feel like it's all constricting on them. And just being given a 5-run penalty, just another blow alongside the wickets, alongside very good Dutch fielding.
Yeah, the specific penalty law that they've been done under is 41.14, which deals with a batter damaging the pitch. it is unfair to cause deliberate or avoidable damage. This might not have been deemed as deliberate, but definitely deemed as avoidable damage to the pitch if the striker or a runner enters a protected area in playing the ball or running after the ball. They must move from it immediately thereafter.